This man stayed at home, ate and slept, and didn't earn a single cent. His wife was extremely disappointed in him and wanted to kick him out of the house. The angry man left the house and returned to his old job. He decided to do something big. His name was Mason, who used to be the best special forces soldier. During a mission, he was unfortunately injured and was forced to leave the army. However, the survival and killing skills he learned in the army were useless in his daily life. Mason couldn't adapt to his current life for a while. Life was extremely bad. Finally, one day, an old friend came to Mason and invited him to his company to work as a bodyguard. At this time, Mason was facing his wife's anger because of his uselessness. He immediately agreed very quickly. Shibatel assigned him the first task of protecting a very famous female reporter who was going to a country in the Middle East to conduct an interview. The next day, early in the morning, Mason went to the TV station and saw the female reporter carrying her luggage out of the building. Mason immediately ran to help. As a result, he was misunderstood as a fan. There was no other way. Mason could only clearly state his identity. After knowing the truth, Claire was extremely embarrassed and took the initiative to talk to him. "I heard you came from the Green Beret Army unit. This is clearly a sign of being easily cuckolded." Mason was speechless when he heard that. "I am the top special forces soldier." And the two of them boarded the plane to the Middle East. This time, Claire's interviewee was the president of a small country. As soon as he got off the plane, the president personally sent someone to pick them up. The two of them even took a photo together. This made Claire extremely surprised, and the two of them got into a special car and planned to go to the president's residence to conduct an interview. On the way, President Mark Kerr drank and chatted happily, and Mason gradually became like a spare person. He turned his head to the side to admire the scenery. Unexpectedly, when the convoy passed the bridge, an explosion suddenly occurred. A group of rebels blocked their way. The driver and bodyguard were shot dead. After a few seconds of being stunned, Mason quickly counterattacked. First, he crawled to the driver's seat, controlled the car, then stepped on the gas pedal and backed away to avoid their missiles. Next, quickly rushed forward and stabbed the rebel who was loading more bullets. A long-planned assassination was turned into a normal car accident by Mason. To be on guard against someone chasing behind 3 people holding weapons, Theo escaped into the forest. Facing Mason's suspicion, the president frankly said that his subordinates wanted to kill him. When he saw the situation was beyond his expectations, Mason took out his satellite phone and immediately reported the situation to the headquarters. Tibatin immediately sent a helicopter to support. After planning the retreat, the president borrowed Mason's satellite phone and prepared to contact his nephew Jack and told him to quickly send people to support. Unexpectedly, Jack was the one behind this. At this time, he had called many reporters to prepare to announce the news that the president was attacked and had died. Unexpectedly, his uncle was still alive. Jack was extremely surprised, but he quickly calmed down and immediately ordered his subordinates to kill the president. At the same time, the helicopter that came to support quickly arrived at the designated location. Unexpectedly, some rebels appeared above. Mason discovered that something was wrong, so he led Theo Claire to escape. High up in the helicopter, M determined the position of the two people. Bullets fell like rain. When the helicopter fired rockets again, the two people ran frantically from the forest to the stream bank, almost getting shot to death. Mason knew that if they kept running like this, they would be shot anyway, so he found a place to aim the gun at the helicopter and fired. After the helicopter exploded, the two people hid in the forest again because there were 2 rebels behind them holding guns. But in the panic, Claire and Mason lost each other. The 2 rebels approached her. Claire saw this and quickly hid behind a tree when she were about to be discovered by them. Mason suddenly rushed out from the side. After a while of fighting, he finally defeated the enemy. Claire kept feeling lucky to have hired Mason. She didn't expect him to be so strong. Right at this moment, another rebel suddenly appeared behind Mason. He was about to be shot to death. The sound of gunfire rang out, and the rebels fell down. It turned out that the president had arrived in time to save them. Then the president took the 2 people to escape back to his hometown. He grew up in this village and saw the people here. The village chief was very friendly. Seeing the president bring guests here, enthusiastically hugged them because the conditions were a bit lacking. Then the 3 of them were taken to bathe in the same place. This scene was so beautiful. The president still did not forget the purpose of Claire's trip this time. After bathing, he and Claire conducted an interview under the witness of all the villagers before coming here. The information that Claire knew all showed that the president was a brutal person. But after a short time of contact with him and the affection of the villagers for him, she felt suspicious about the rumors outside. Then the president told the truth. It turned out that there was an outside force aiming at the country's rich natural resources. They wanted to take it at a low price, but the president refused, so the other side supported Cho. The rebel force wanted to overthrow his government. The president's patriotism for the people made Claire have a different view of him. This interview was extremely special and very successful. At night, everyone gathered together to drink wine to celebrate. After drinking a few glasses, Claire suddenly had a new spring in her heart. She could no longer contain her feelings, so she went to invite Mason to her place to sleep at night when she was bored. Unexpectedly, Mason is a special forces soldier, so his will is extremely strong. Colonel Chan personally sent people here. Besides Ra, He was the one who really pushed the coup. Chan was just a puppet. Ordered Cho Chan to immediately find Ra, the president, and kill the other party. If not, go home and prepare your own coffin first. At the same time, after waking up, Mason received a phone call from Shibatel. Ordered Cho Mason to kill the president. This was Mason's real purpose, but Mason thought that the president was a good person. He didn't want to do that, so he pulled Theo Claire to prepare to leave immediately. At this moment, Chan's forces arrived. The president hurriedly led Theo around the back of the village to escape. Chan couldn't find the president. Seeing that, the president decided to rush Ra at the crucial moment. Mason rode his horse to save the president from their guns. After that, the three people rode away. Unexpectedly, Claire wasn't good at horseback riding. Halfway there, she fell off her horse and was captured by Chan's men. Mason ran headlong into the dense forest to escape their pursuit, but the rebels' forces were extremely fierce. In order to save Claire, the president was forced to quickly regain power. Then the president took Mason, went into the city to find help. But when they arrived, they found out that the president's rescuer was a fat, sloppy guy. This made Mason very curious. Then he did it. According to the president's orders, he used the president to exchange messages with Chan. Though Mason did not know what the president was doing, he still went to see Chan. As soon as they met, two sides pointed guns at each other. Although Mason was alone, his spirit was not inferior to them. He was worthy of being America's top special forces soldier. Then they took Claire out of the car and prepared to exchange people. Unexpectedly, the president led his army of the people to Chan. Chan did not know what to do. No matter how brave he was, he did not dare to act in front of the people. Claire was saved. The president decided to immediately return to the presidential palace. He went through the tunnel. Only the president knew. This time, George was immersed in the peak moment of his life. This time, the president just found out that the person who betrayed him was his nephew. Claire immediately took out the phone and broadcast live to announce Jack's crime. He immediately explained that he was seduced by a bad guy. Because he was a descendant of the family, the president forgave. This time, the fat General Martinez walked in and saw that the president was not dead. He immediately opened fire. Luckily, the button may have stopped this moment, the president's bodyguards ran up and pointed their guns at the three people. The president immediately gave a patriotic speech. At this time, everyone had just reformed and turned around to confront the rebels who had just arrived. Both sides drew their guns and fought. The situation was extremely chaotic. Mason called the president and Claire to quickly retreat to the tunnel, but were still discovered by the rebels. The president hurriedly took them to hide in the secret room, thinking the three people could be safe here. The cunning rebels sabotaged the power source. The secret room immediately went dark. The most dangerous thing was because of the power outage, the ventilation system stopped working. There was no other way. Three people could only run outside. The three people could only fight and retreat, but the enemy's firepower was too strong. Mason told the president and Claire to go ahead. He stayed behind to fight. No longer bothered, Mason began to fight with all his might. But after a while, Mason's old wound suddenly became severed. Chan pressed him to the ground and held a knife to his neck. Mason was in danger. Claire suddenly appeared and knocked Chan unconscious. The president's bodyguards and the rebels were outside the fierce battle. Mason immediately picked up an AK-47 to join this powerful and attractive battle that made Claire fascinated. At the same time, he heard that Mason was in danger. Internally and externally, they completely destroyed the remaining rebel forces. Claire now held the phone and broadcast live television around the world. The president announced his resignation and established a transitional government to protect the country's natural resources. Mason's wife also saw her husband's dung event on TV and immediately said she didn't want a divorce anymore. After completing the mission, Mason rushed home. His daughter hugged her father and treated him like a hero. Then the president sent him a text message saying that he wanted to give him a surprise. Mason ran to the bank and saw that his account had an additional $5 million. Mason was extremely happy. At this time, his position in the family had changed. Above is the entire content of the movie Free Agent. Do you think this movie is good? If you think it's good, comment number 1. Thank you for your interest. Follow hello and see you again.